Okay, next we're going to look at some of these reference lines that we've been working on, reference lines and reference bands. Now here in a time series plot, in time series plots the reference lines are really helpful. So here is a chance for us to go through each of them and delve a little deeper. So what I'm going to do is to duplicate sheet 3. Okay, and I name that sheet 4. Okay, now I'm going to remove the trend line. Okay, and let's look at just .2015. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to look at these reference lines. So the first one is a constant line. Okay, so you can bring that in. Okay, constant line will be for the entire table, and you need to drop it in the sales pill. All right, and then you enter a value. Okay, so say I'm just arbitrarily picking a value of 85,000, and okay, this is the constant line will be helpful if that's some kind of a target. Okay, you can use that constant line for the purpose of comparison. So here we can say target equal to, okay, so value, and the same format. Well, I don't know. How do you get what?
You said target equals value.
Oh, okay. All right. So edit. So you change it to custom, right? And then you type in the label you want, and then if you click that, and then you have a value. Okay. All right. Okay. So if this is the weekly target is 85K, then you see that which weeks we have exceeded the target and the weeks where we have fallen short of target. So it will be a helpful reference line there, a constant reference line. Okay. Then average line, as the title suggests, it is the average. Average, you can now set the average to the table, pane, or cell. Of course, in this particular case, they are all the same, I think, except, yeah, they're all the same. But if you have like if you have a discrete visualization, then it will be different. So like pane will be, you will have one average for each pane. If it is table, then you will have a single average for the entire table. Okay, and the cell will be each individual, so it's going to be one line for each point, which is completely meaningless in that case. Okay, so you need to understand the difference between discrete dates and continuous dates in terms of how the reference lines will be drawn. Okay, so in discrete case, then you will have a distinction between pane and table, whereas in the continuous case, it's just one pane for the entire table. Okay, so then you can add a label here. We've gone through this labeling process earlier. Okay, so you need to understand how it is done. So if you go to edit, then here is the label where you can, you have a couple of options. So you can just have value, in which case just the value will get displayed, or you can have computation, in which case whatever computation that you're using, that would be used. So if it is like minimum, then it will say minimum. Okay, and median means it will say median. Okay, it won't tell you what the value is. Sometimes all you need is just a reference line. You don't care about what the value is, but you want to show where a particular computation is in the visualization. In that case, you will just say computation, right? But if you want to include the value there, then you have to select custom, and then you have some options. You can type in a label you want, or you can do combinations of like you can have field name and then computation, or you can have computation and then field name, right? So so it will be average sales, and then you say equal to the value itself. Okay. And then we have median and quartiles. Okay, so if you bring that in, and once again the distinction between discrete time and continuous time. In continuous time, all these three are the same. So now we have a band. Okay, of course, I'm putting all of them in the single visualization, and it's not really looking well. But here we are trying to understand what these reference lines are, right? So maybe if you do this, then we can remove the average from there. Okay. So you have median, then on the lower side we have lower quartile, and on the higher side you have upper quartile. So are you all familiar with what those terminologies mean? Quartiles? Anybody who's not? Okay. All right. So now you need to be aware that when it comes to quartiles and percentiles, there are different ways of calculating those values. Okay. Because not always you will have one single value in a list that represents exactly a particular quartile or a particular percentile. So first quartile is if you take, you arrange the data in ascending order, and then you divide the data into two halves, and what's right in between is your median, right? So now you have divided the data into two parts. Quartiles would be dividing the data into 4 equal parts. And when you do the division, then you may not, at the 25th quartile, you may not have any value at all. If you have even number of observations, then you divide, okay, so the top half and then the bottom half, and there is nothing in between. So how do you then determine what value to assign for that quartile? Quartile 1, so Q1 is the 25th percentile, Q3 is the third quartile, which is 75th percentile. So how that value is calculated, so different platforms use different ways of doing it. So if you do this in Excel, you will find that Excel gives you a different answer, close but different. Okay. So you have to be aware of that. Okay. So that's your median and quartile. So let's back out of that.